everyone to MoneyFest 2020. The title of the session is View from the Inside, the latest fintech developments in China. Anyone even slightly aware with digital finance obviously knows that China is at the forefront of this revolution, whereas it with payments, but I would dare to say even overall with fintech, with financial technologies. It has way surpassed its Asian peers and its Western counterparts in this aspect. For that reason, it's a great honor for me to have with us today Forrest Lin, who is the president of Tencent Financial Technology, and he will be joining us in this session for an interview. Forrest is, as I said, the vice president of Tencent and the president of Tencent Financial Technologies. He oversees Tencent overall fintech business, including payment, wealth management, securities, and other fintech services. Previously, he was the managing partner at Tencent Investment, where he was responsible for Tencent's equity investments in various areas such as internet commerce, e-commerce, internet finance, online to offline, etc. Welcome, Forrest. It's a great honor to have you here.
Thank you, Nick. It's a great honor to be invited.
Great. As we said, China, it is truly at the forefront of this, let's call it a fintech revolution or leapfrog. And anyone who knows a little bit about it also knows obviously about Tencent. And if China is at the forefront of global fintech leapfrogging or revolution, I would dare to say in payments, Tencent is surely a pioneer in that area in China itself. We live in interesting times. We're in the middle of the pandemic. That's why we talk over link now, and unfortunately not on a stage, somewhere on the Money 2020 event. But considering the pandemic that has now passed in China, what is the role of digital payments in China, and what lessons you might have learned through it, concretely, obviously, Tencent FinTech?
Yeah, the pandemic is really an unfortunate event for the whole world, for China, for US, for Europe, for any part of the globe. No part can be immune from it. But in China, I guess, fortunately, over the last 5-6 years, we have built a very pervasive mobile payment infrastructure, allowing the businesses to collect payments from users through digital way and through mobile payment, and also allow users to transfer funds to each other. And because of that infrastructure, the online commerce, including the merchandise commerce, or including what we call online to offline commerce, such as food delivery or ride hailing, has been grown significantly. During the pandemic, what we see is, of course, during a period of time, there was a reduction or sharp drop of the payment volume, but it quickly recovered. And we realized that actually that recovery was really, boosted by the replacement of offline services by online services. And we see it for the e-commerce, for the O2O, for the food delivery, etc. And just to introduce WeChat and WeChat Pay. WeChat has about 1.2 billion users worldwide, and WeChat Pay has about 800 million monthly active users, and we process more than 1 billion commercial transactions every day. And therefore, when the online commerce start to be prosperous, we can feel that right away. And during the pandemic, of course, because of the infrastructure, the commerces has been helped a lot. Also, the WeChat payment infrastructure has been used by the government to distribute stimulus funds and consumption vouchers to users. We helped many local governments to hand over those consumption vouchers to the average consumer, so that they can boost the consumption, boost the economy, and help the the economy quickly go back into the recovery mode. So those are the probably the biggest help that we feel from the digital payments. From my personal learning is that, contactless commerce is not really not a dream. It actually becomes more and more pervasive. In where I live in Hong Kong, and we have seen the food delivery become so grow so fast in the city where offline stores and offline restaurants has been so popular and pervasive. Previously, food delivery wasn't a very big business, but through the pandemic, we see the size of the market, almost doubled and tripled over the matter of months. So contactless commerce is really not a dream, and after a while, people actually get used to it, and people actually start to see the efficiency that online commerce brings to the economy, and that is actually something good to see. And we believe, new forms of commerce emerge out of the pandemic, and the companies that serve their users well and better, utilizing the digital payment infrastructure, can actually meet a new surge of demand. So that's something that we're very happy to see.
Is there some outstanding infrastructure numbers? I would dare to say 1.2 billion, 800 million, and 1 billion transactions that you mentioned. Just some of our people that are focusing on the infrastructure side, I'm sure they're wondering how this is done. But and it's also interesting what you said in terms of food delivery, how this is impacted. You mentioned Hong Kong, all the small mom and pop shops that they are there that had to adapt. That had to adapt really quickly. It's such an interesting, quick change happening. Another thing that I want to ask is about, it's a question with two parts, I would dare to say. One is about the market and one is about the technology. So and partially you answered the first part, the market trends. Well, we talked about the pandemic, but generally I think the trends were going in this way. But in terms of market and technology, what are some of the cutting edge developments and technologies that you're looking into as Tencent FinTech, that you see something that's maybe going to be present in the Chinese market and beyond in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, this is actually a very good question and an interesting question. We have been pondering upon that all the time as well. On one hand, we sort of grow our technology accompanying the growth of our business. When the mobile payment started, it was a very small product. There weren't many people using it, and especially something we call the convenient pay, which means the payment company helped users to deduct to issue instruction to bank to deduct the account to facilitate the payment. That was something that was not existing 7 years ago. So we had to develop these technologies and these sort of partnerships with the banks in order to facilitate such a seamless experience on the digital payment. Of course, with the good user experience and with good user value, the volume of the transactions grew significantly, and we had to keep our pace, keep our technology infrastructure on pace with the explosion of the business. For example, after the Chinese New Year of 2014, which is the first year that we introduced the red envelope concept, with more than 100 million users binding their bank card with WeChat Pay, we had to upgrade our servers and the infrastructure so quickly so that the payment services doesn't go downline. So through that process, we gradually developed the ability to transact a huge amount of transactions per second with a very strong resilience, security, and robustness, and that force us to be able to manage our infrastructure, our server, our database, our transfer, our linkage with different banks in a very secured and in a very secured way. So, for example, today, every data of the transaction is backed up in 3 cities. So no matter what happened, in 1 city or even in 2 cities, that service can still be kept on. So that's one side. On the other hand, we also need to be looking forward and see what technologies might further enable or enhance our services. For example, we have been putting a lot of the resources to develop the what we call facial recognition payment. Basically that we need again, what you need is a seamless user experience. You don't want someone at the checkout account of a supermarket stare at the machine for 5 seconds and nothing happen. You don't want that that to happen, right? You want that experience to be as seamless.
Or charge someone else for your bill, for example.
Exactly. You need a very strong security. You need a very seamless experience. You need it to be fast, to be accurate, etc. And that ask a lot for the technologies. So we invested a lot in technologies like facial recognition. Also, another example is not necessarily to do with the payment, but to do with the sort of affiliate service of the payment. For example, we have been working with the tax bureau to develop a blockchain-based solution, so that the merchants can issue digital invoices directly through the digital payment process. Because today, if you are in China, if you want to get an invoice, chances are it's still a paper one, and even if it's a digital one, how to authenticate it, how to make sure it is a real, there's a lot of technical challenges with it. So we invested in blockchain technology in order to make that happen. So those are just 2 examples. We use the user scenarios to help us to decide where to invest in the technologies and look for, move forward.
It's super useful to know that Tencent is now those billions of payments times 3 that you said in terms of data infrastructure, but also all these interesting new projects that you're developing, whether it's the blockchain tax solutions or facial recognition for payments as well. Speaking of, we're going to go a little bit international. Chinese fintechs are obviously, like Tencent, of course, are going very international now, a lot, especially across the APAC region, I would dare to say, and facilitating, fintech and infrastructure there. Would you dare to say that they are creating supply or demand, or they're, by arriving to a new market, are they actually helping the markets and actually speeding up those markets? And second part of the question maybe is there any traffic the other way around? Do you see some interesting fintech developments abroad and then you want to adapt them to China?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So fintech is a highly regulated, or finance in general is a highly regulated area. So you need to be very familiar with the local regulation environment in order to operate a business there. For us, we think the first problem that we are trying to solve, not necessarily to create a demand or supply in a local market, but we know there's a demand that we need to work with the local partners to solve, which is all the China users and China tourists going abroad. If you go to Japan, you want to pay in the duty-free shop in order to get the good merchandise, and we hope WeChat Pay can be a useful tool over that scenario. So we. I would say probably this is a supply, or maybe also it's a demand, because previously, a user has to, if he doesn't have a credit card or doesn't have international credit card, he has to convert his cash into local currency, bring all these currency, go to the duty-free shop to pay. So maybe with the WeChat Pay, the experience can be so seamless that he probably buy 2 times, 3 times more product than he would have done before. So I think it's probably both from technology or from tool standpoint, it's a supply, but from a user demand standpoint, it's a demand. So that is actually the main problem that we're trying to solve. Of course, over that process, we get to know some local partners, and some of them are actually very good local partners, not necessarily from the merchant acquiring business, but also some of them operate their own digital wallets, such as GoPay, such as PayMaya in Philippines, etc. So we try to work with them. Hey, can we help your user and help my user? Say if my user goes to Indonesia, can we utilize the merchant acquiring network that you have already built? And if your user come to China, would you be interesting to explore our merchant network in China? Of course, a lot of people will think that's an interesting idea. So we basically try to work with a lot of local partners, not only enhance the demand of our user, but also enhance demand of their users.
Awesome, thank you. One more quick question for the end. I think about a Tencent vision in terms of fintech, and obviously you're the right person for that. Is a Tencent vision for the future as a true fintech giant B2C, more as a B2C retail brand, or a B2B infrastructure player for like third-party digital finance solutions? I would assume both, but maybe in which way would you skewer that answer?
Yeah, we view ourselves as a connector. Payment is a very typical example of a connector. You connect user to user, user to merchants, but actually you're not only connecting user to user and user to merchants, you're actually connecting their financial institutions with each other, right? So we view ourselves as a connector. For example, in our wealth management business, we actually don't manage our own fund or manage our own asset management products. We actually connect our users with the mutual fund companies, with the insurance asset management companies, etc., to bridge the user demand with the relevant and the right financial products that they have demand for. So I would say, because of the connector role, there's a B2B part of it and there's a B2C part of it. But there's one thing that we are very clear. We connect the B's in order to serve the C's better. So okay. So we probably, the main purpose is to make sure the users get what they deserve, what they like, and what they're comfortable with. And hopefully to enhance their long-term value by using all these financial products, because financial products actually, you need to be very careful. You don't want to sell the wrong product to the wrong guy, right? Regardless whether it's a wealth management product or whether it's a credit product. So we need to manage that accuracy or manage that matching capability very well. But at the end of the day, we want to create a value for the users by working with the B's in a right way.
Perfect. I think this is all great insight into what Tencent is on the fintech market and what Tencent Fintech as the fintech arm does. I think there is it's an outstanding roadmap and very exciting perspective that you showed us here. Unfortunately, I think we're out of time. There's never enough time for this kind of talks. It was an absolute pleasure to talk to Forrest Lin, Vice President of Tencent and President of Tencent Financial Technology. Hopefully, I'll see you soon in person at some other event when it's easier to travel around the world. Again, my name is Nikola Pavesic, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you for inviting me. Have a good event.